Wouldn't you rather give it all to something real?
Much how the movie in which Cassian Andor made his entrance and exit focused on a Jedi-free pocket of the Resistance that we had yet to see on screen, Disney Plus's Andor offers Star Wars a more grown-up tone, thanks to established heavyweight talent behind the camera and measured performances in front of it. Set 5 years before the events of Rogue One, Andor makes a strong first impression in its initial 4 episodes, wonderfully setting the stage for its steadily unwinding mystery to play out. It's a well-worn reference point by now, but it's borderline impossible not to be reminded of Blade Runner in the series' opening seconds. Its grimy sci-fi noir tone is one that Andor attempts to replicate in the first third of the 12-episode first season, blending it with a helping of modern corporate espionage thriller touchstones. Showrunner Tony Gilroy is no stranger to weaving conspiratorial stories of characters operating in morally grey areas, going rogue in order to bring down a larger, undoubtedly more evil entity. Writer of the original Bourne trilogy, he also brought Michael Clayton to screen, one of the sharpest film scripts of the past 20 years. While there's no Paul Greengrass or Doug Liman here to execute it, much of the action wouldn't look far out of place performed by Jason Bourne either. In truth though, there's very little action to speak of at all across Andor's opening hours, preferring to thoughtfully set the table neatly rather than regularly flip it over. There's a heightened sense of maturity to Andor that we haven't seen regularly from Star Wars. It's not stuck in the shadow of a singular family tree or poisoned by the overplucked Skywalker fruit that grows on it. That's not to say that Andor is a strictly adult show by any means, but one that is definitely shooting for more depth than you might expect. The writing is strong, which is again something recent Star Wars projects have been crying out for. Nothing looks cheap, and instead often feels like premium, burgeoning on prestige TV. Adriano Goldman's eye guides the first 3 episodes, with an abundance of tracking and steadicam shots, combined with a healthy amount of close-ups keeping us tied to the characters. The low angle and often waist-high position of the camera also helps convey the message that we are with these people at the ground level of the Resistance, helping us feel more connected to them as a result. It all comes across as carefully plotted and in no way accidental, with the people positioning the lens working as creatively to tell us the story as the actors performing in front of it.
You just walk in like you belong.
Takes more than that, doesn't it?
What, to steal from the Empire? What do you need? A uniform, some dirty hands, and an Imperial toolkit?
Diego Luna effortlessly steps onto centre stage as Cassian Andor. He's a smooth operator, combining a valid sense of paranoia with a survivor's resourcefulness throughout. Each character seems like a fully formed human, as opposed to a speaking plot device present only to conjure up a MacGuffin. Bix, portrayed by Adria Arjona, is a perfect example of this, providing warmth whenever on screen and a genuine sense of a long personal history between her and Andor within just moments of us meeting them. Then there are the veterans like Stellan Skarsgård and Fiona Shaw, whose gravitas only elevates any scene they are in, further adding to the sense of Andor as a premium product. And as for Andor's antagonist, it's welcome to be presented with a relatively fresh threat. There's no doubt that Vader is one of the most iconic villains of all time, but overexposure has led to us seeing almost all he has to offer, and in turn made him a less frightening presence. Andor's enemy, on the other hand, is shrouded in oppressive governmental uniforms, and is much more intimidating as a result. Acting as an avatar for that evil early on is Kyle Soller as Deputy Inspector Khan, who is charged with spearheading the hunt for Andor. He's suitably slimy, bringing with him an air of dread whenever one of his sly smirks appears on screen. Episode 1 does a great job of laying down the tonal groundwork for the series, reintroducing us to Cassian and establishing his accomplices as we steadily learn which can be trusted. The small industrial town we spend much of the opening episodes in serves effectively as the Galaxian microcosm, one where anyone can be your enemy at the height of Imperial instigated turmoil. There's a tangible feeling that we're spending time with the people actually living day to day in this world, rather than the chosen few we so often follow the stories of. Without spoiling anything important, episode 2 continues to give us an insight to each of the characters' backgrounds and motivations, while not necessarily moving the overarching plot along greatly before 3 and 4 dive headfirst into it. Episode 3 is a thrilling standout, with a clanging street-level metallic ode to the Lord of the Rings beacons of Gondor, which ushers in siege-like guerrilla action.
That's what a reckoning sounds like.
The show does, however, fall flat slightly in some of the semi-frequent flashback sequences to to Andor's childhood. These are necessary to the plot and helpful in gaining a fuller understanding of his past and future motives, but are admittedly never as compelling as when we're with the main cast. Saying that, they do eventually pay off towards the end of episode 3, which is quietly yet powerfully emotive thanks to some smart cross-cutting. The overall pacing of the first 4 episodes may prove a little sluggish for some, but in truth I enjoyed it, finding the steadily revealing plot refreshing when compared to the majority of Disney's recent MCU and Star Wars output. It's not afraid to slow down and indulge in the atmosphere it often successfully generates, again feeling deliberately and maturely constructed rather than a string of interstitials hyperspeeding between fight scenes. The Disney Plus Star Wars shows may well have fluctuated in quality, but music is something they've consistently excelled in. This time it's Nicholas Britell adding yet another slavering of class, and while not producing anything as instantly recognisable as his Succession theme, he definitely makes his mark, fitting the bubbling paranoia of Andor perfectly and only adding to Gilroy's compelling vision. Andor is off to a fantastic start, thanks to its compelling performances, corporate espionage undertones, and considered filmmaking. It's not only shaping up to be a great Star Wars show, but one that can make its mark in the overall TV landscape while it just so happens to be set in this universe. Its deliberate pace and self-serious nature may be a turn-off for some looking for a fun sci-fi romp, but this so far is a refreshing new breed of Star Wars, and one I feel completely invested in. Let's hope it keeps things heading in the right direction on its road to rebellion. For more from Andor, check out the latest trailer, and for everything else Star Wars, stick with IGN.